Welcome to the Run to Remember Memorial Marathon podcast. This is your host, Kristen Fairs, joined alongside race director Carrie Watkins. This episode, you'll hear some amazing running stories. Ken Lee is a first-time 5K runner who has a very motivational story. Pastor Jim Perkin with Nichols Hills United Methodist Church celebrates the community of the marathon in a special way, and you'll want to stick around for Sunny and Poppa, our special senior marathoners at the end of the program. The 2025 OKC Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 25th through the 27th. Visit okcmarathon.com and sign up to run, walk, or volunteer. All right, Carrie, we have some exciting news. Finally,
we have Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
I don't know if the window was open. I was doing backflips all the way down Robinson, so I'm sorry if you missed it, but I can't.
I did miss it. Can we go back out and do that real quick?
Can't. My back's
that was
sore,
just a one-time thing.
The best part of it was we used connections to get there, and Marla Freeman from Devon, who works with all of the nonprofits at Devon, and she handles community relations. She used her network to find somebody in Rhode Island for us. I think by the end we'll have 2 or 3 from Rhode Island, but
I love it.
We have Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
So for every year since 2010, which is when we really started keeping records, we've had all 50 states. And so we're here. Thank you,
Very cool.
Marlon.
So, and then Matt from Rhode Island will be here on race weekend.
Matt from Rhode Island. We can't wait to meet him.
We cannot wait to meet him.
Well, you'll get to interview him at the finish line.
Oh, that'll be great.
After you get in.
After I get in.
Or
okay.
before you get in.
Is he running the full or the half?
The half.
Half.
Full.
Okay.
So
Then I'll beat him. Okay. If I don't, come find me.
We'll bring Matt to you.
Yeah, send the car for me. So we're about 50 days away. Pretty exciting.
We feel it. We're feeling the 50 days.
Yeah, feeling the 50 days.
It's coming quick. I don't think February, which is always a short month, but it seemed really short.
It seemed really fast this year. It was
Yeah.
really,
So
January was slow.
We're
February
gearing
was
up,
fast.
and I was driving around last week, the course, and there's a lot of construction on the course. So if you're running the course, don't panic. The city has always come through for us. They're not going to drop us this year, but there is, between Nichols Hills and Oklahoma City, a lot of construction going on around, and people had kind of mentioned it to me, and I drove it, and I just like, we'll be okay. But they're getting it ready for us, and it's going to be great as usual.
So stay calm if you're out running.
Yeah, and watch for the road barriers.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make it great.
Yeah, don't get hurt.
Our team was in Cowtown this weekend.
Yes, I saw that.
And people
That's
actually
exciting.
Stepped up and talked about how much this podcast means to them. A little backstory on that. We send teams all these different marathons, and our staff goes, and sometimes they wager on who can get the most to sign up. And so there was a big wager going on between what happened at Route 66 in Tulsa and Cowtown. And the team that went to Route 66 won. The Cowtown folks say it's because it's so late, everyone's already registered. I don't know but anyway, Dustin and Lynn went. They found some great voices, so we thought we'd share them with you.
Okay, let's take a listen.
My name is Rochelle Roberts. I'm so excited to do the Run to Remember series. I'm doing the 5K and the half marathon, and I do it every year because my dad was a battalion chief in Shawnee, and he worked rescue and recovery at the Murrah bombing. So it's my favorite half marathon to run, and it's always had a special place in my heart, and I'm excited.
All right, I'm Bethany Randall, and this is
It's Drew Harris.
and we're at the Cowtown Expo in Fort Worth, Texas. I ran the OKC Half Marathon in 2019 whenever I was a student at OU, and I'm trying to get back into running now, so I'm running the 5K at Cowtown, and Drew is...
I'm running the half marathon. I moved to Fort Worth last year and did half marathon basically right after I moved here, and it was really an awesome experience. Really excited to do it again this year. And hopefully Beth and I will be running the Oklahoma City one come April.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm an avid podcast listener. And the things I love about listening to podcasts, you get tips about like what to eat and also about all the stops along the way as far as the neighborhoods, and you get to hear about all the sponsors, and it's just a great podcast to listen to.
Our first guest, Ken Lee, is running the 5K. And Ken, you have quite an inspiring story to share with us. This is your first 5K race and the start of a health journey for you.
Yeah, actually, it's a continuation of a health journey. This is trying to find a way to push myself just a little bit further. In the last just over 2.5 years, I've lost 263 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm always looking for something to, as my shirt says, keep moving forward. And so this, I felt, was a good next step, and what better way than to do the memorial it's a great way to honor those that we lost that day. is
Yeah.
to push myself just a little bit further. And
Well,
then
first of all, the statement, keep moving forward, is so true, and we all need to remember it in this crazy time. So congratulations for the work you're doing and for stepping up and keep moving forward. And the 5K is an awesome place to start, and you'll have lots of people around to support you. So we're excited to get you out there.
You know, it was actually a couple weeks ago, maybe, you, Carrie, made a comment. You were talking to, was it Chris Hale from Red Coyote? You mentioned that to some people, the 5K is their marathon.
Right.
And I was on my treadmill. I'm like, yes, she's talking to me, because that's exactly right. That is exactly the way I feel, because I just, even 2.5, 3 years ago, had to have a cane everywhere I went. I could barely walk. I do have braces on both of my feet and ankles that I have to have. And I've come a long ways. And even the thought of doing a 5K, oh man, that was never something that I could ever even dream
super
of.
inspiring. So how's your training going?
It's going good. You know, I joined Crunch Gym up in Edmond, and so I've been going in at least 2 to 3 days a week. And on top of that, I have a treadmill at home because, as you know, it's been, gosh, awful
Beautiful weather.
cold lately.
Well, it's been the thing about Oklahoma is it's been both. We've
Right.
had the extreme cold and some beautiful
Yeah.
days.
Exactly. So I got the treadmill last year because there was no way I was going to be out in that 100+ degree heat
Right.
trying
Right.
to walk, you know. I did that one time down around Lake Hefner, and I'm like, not anymore. So I'm hoping to get back out there around the lake this next week. It's supposed to be good weather, not too hot, not too cold. So they've got a great walking path for people and for everybody. So people like me that are pretty slow, people just, you know.
So what would you say to somebody who was in your shoes maybe, you know, a year or 2 years ago? What was your motivation
Yeah,
to
what
start
started
this
you?
journey?
I got to the point where when I couldn't walk, when it hurt to just even walk into work, you know, it was just too painful. I knew I needed to make a change. I needed to do something. And I've always been a big guy all my life, honestly. At that point, I was 595 pounds. I had been as high years ago, back in the late 90s, as 680. So I've always been big. Never knew why. I mean, I didn't eat like my friends do, you know, that kind of thing. And I just needed to make that change. And I hurt a knee, went into a doctor, and I had, for the first time, had a doctor tell me, you need to lose weight. And at that, he struggled. He kept looking at the wall, looking at me. And so I even said to him, Doc, are you telling me I have to? He's like, if you don't, you're going to have knee replacement surgery. So I said, okay, here we go. And that was the start of it. And now I've always thought that people were crazy when they would say, you know, their body craves activity, craves exercise. That's me now. If I'm not on my treadmill for a few days, or if I'm not at the gym, like, got that nasty bug that pretty much everybody got a few weeks ago, you know, and I had to skip going into the gym, and my body's like, what are you doing, you know? And I got to that point now, and that's exciting too, because that's something I never thought I would
That's
have.
great.
Right.
Well, there's no better time than now to get out of your comfort zone and push yourself. How do you, what words do you have for others to get up and get moving?
Just keep moving forward, small steps. I mean, it might seem like the smallest of steps that you're making, but if you make even a tiny step forward every single day, eventually you're going to look back and go, whoa, I was way back there, just like me. You know, when I look back at my weight loss journey so far, and I've still got a long way to go, but I look back and go, those days, the day to day, the week to week, seemed like I wasn't doing anything, maybe a pound and a half here. Then I'd have some weeks where it'd be even more. But that moving forward, finding something every single day that can make yourself better, that can do something good for yourself, it's going to add up.
Yeah, though that's a really motivational story. If people want to know more about your story, I hear they can follow you. Where can people find you?
I'm on YouTube at Fat Guy No More.
Okay.
Literally just like it sounds. It's an old story. I had a doctor that told me after looking at my blood work, you know, you've got to be the healthiest fat guy I've ever seen. Not diabetic, cholesterol was great. And I told him back then, I said, Doc, I want to be a fat guy no more though. And so it just stuck with me. So I've got it on YouTube. I've been tracking my entire journey. And now, just as of yesterday, I announced that I'll be doing the 5K on there.
Great.
A lot of people they want to come down and be there to watch me come
Yeah.
across
How
that finish
inspirational.
line.
Very
Are
inspirational.
you nervous about that, or?
Scared to death. I mean, honestly, I think it's the fear of failure, what happens, you know. I'm pretty good at walking on level ground. Of course, the course isn't level, you know, we know that.
Yeah.
And then what happens if, you know, Oklahoma weather happens and it's raining that morning and, you know. I don't know. And
You keep moving forward.
that's it. You just, even if it takes me longer to complete it,
Right.
as long as, I look at it as victories, look for certain victories. I never really set goals. I like to say, I like to celebrate the milestones. So whenever I pass certain things, well, with this one, I got to be ready by the 26th, right? And so I got 2 months for it, but I've been working on it. But that day, in my mind, just at the start line, that's a victory.
It really is, Ken. And I just want to say, you just remember why we run this race. And your journey is so much like the families who lost loved ones or survivors or even the first responders is they go forward and they have to come back but they keep moving forward. And that is the journey of the 25th marathon, the 30th anniversary of the bombing is people have figured out how to move forward. And it's not always at the same speed, not always at the same place, but congratulations to you for stepping up to do it. And we'll get you to the finish line, I promise you.
Absolutely. What an
Looking forward to it.
inspirational story. Thanks for sharing it with us.
And it is your marathon. If Kristen would let me run, it'd be my marathon too, but she won't let me.
I'll let you do backflips, though.
Yeah, but congratulations for doing this and for stepping up to do it and for running to remember it. That your story is inspirational, and it's why we have this race. And I thank you for doing that.
Appreciate it. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me here today.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story!
Super inspirational. And I love the reminder, Carrie, that, you don't have to run 26.2 miles to be a part of this marathon.
That's right.
You can run the 5K. We've got the kids marathon. You have the senior marathon. There's
Now the quarter.
Now the quarter. There's a place for so many people to get involved, and it's just.
You can cheer and volunteer. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just love those kind of stories, and I love that that they know they can be a part of this. Everyone can be a part of this race. It is not for just the elites. And what I also love is some of the legends who'll be out there. They'll make sure he gets to the finish line. I can
Oh,
promise.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that'll be quite the celebration.
It will.
Yeah.
It will.
And now we're going to talk to Jim Perkin, who's the pastor of Nichols Hills United Methodist Church. Another way to get involved is to be out on the course cheering. And Jim, you and your church participate in a very special way. Can you tell us about what you all do on Marathon Sunday?
Yes, thank you for having me today. We started in 2016. This was before I was the pastor there, but they had this vision that we had this great race that was coming right by our church building. And they thought, we can be out there in the midst of it. We need to be out there encouraging everyone. And so it has grown over the years, but now we have a big tent, bouncy houses, face painters, food. Our congregation moves outside, and we do our full worship service out there under the tent. And our praise band does about 30 minutes of uplifting, upbeat music, positive music beforehand, and then again after the worship service, just to create an atmosphere that might kind of pump you up a little bit if you make it between those mile markers. I think we're between 19 and 20.
Right.
Right.
So
Right
people
there at-
need some encouragement.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
at the
they're
hardest
at
part.
Yeah.
That's right. They're at that point where they're kind of hitting that moment where they think maybe can I keep going, and maybe they can hear some music off in the distance, and it'll help encourage them.
Well, what a great
little
church,
bit.
first of all. I was at your church earlier with
right.
Ground Zero, and
Yes.
and you guys had an incredible celebration of just honoring that. But I have to say, just all that you guys do, and it is at one of the hardest parts of the course, and most beautiful too, but hard.
Yes.
And just to have those folks out cheering and encouraging, and we kind of upend about 20 some churches
Yeah.
on that Sunday
Sunday
morning.
morning.
And so they've all been great sports.
But they embrace it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's not really upending for us.
Good.
It's an extension of our ministry. It's an opportunity because I feel like what we do is not all that different than someone who's running a race. We are a place where we try to help people find hope and encouragement, and we believe we can do that through helping them find the love of Christ. But it's not that much different. When you run a race, you have moments of euphoria. You feel like I'm conquering this, and you have some moments when it's really tough. And I feel like life is like that a lot. And I think that just having somebody that you feel like is on your side, somebody who is kind of on your shoulder and saying, you can do this, I believe in you, congratulations for what you've done, that's a great accomplishment. So this is a way for us to live that out physically into the community.
And your
So-
congregation's all in.
They are. And so we do our worship service, and then we all just kind of travel down to the edge of the road there. And what's really neat is that one of our musicians runs the marathon every year. And she typically comes by right at about the time that our worship service is ending. And so
perfect
everybody
timing.
hustles down there, and here comes Jordan down the road. And we love to cheer.
And
So, no, go ahead.
well, you're relatively new to the church there.
Yes.
This is coming in on your second year.
Second year,
So
yeah.
what was it like your first year experiencing this marathon?
Yeah, it
Sunday?
was wild. It was great. I had no idea what to expect, and being
Baptism by fire.
That's right. And being in leadership, a lot of times people say, "Hey, what do you want to do here?" And I would say to them, "You guys have been doing this. I think last year was their 9th year of doing it. I'm not here to upend anything that you're doing. I just want to learn. I just want to experience it and see it. It was a great atmosphere."
Do you have a highlight from the day?
Just seeing all the faces of people when they walk by or run by and they get to that point, and watching our congregation come down there and cheer on them is a lot of fun. There's a lot of activity right there along that park.
Grand, yeah.
There is a water stop and a first aid station just south of where we are. So there's people walking up, down, and people come and use our bouncy houses and get their face painted, and they eat and they sit and then they cheer. Just the whole atmosphere, the community feeling, the communal feeling,
Right.
is fun to experience.
Well, you said there's a water stop. You guys are not a water stop, but you are a
Right.
shelter in place. And
We
that's
are.
one thing we don't always talk about. But we have these churches along the course who serve as our shelter in place. Should there be a lightning or a storm or something that we don't want to talk about, some horrible
Right.
thing happen along the course, then our runners know to go to these churches, and then we would start a sweep that would come get them in buses. But that you can't overlook that either, because people have to be there to be willing to take this on. It's kind of like sitting in the exit aisle of the airplane. You hope you never have to use it, but you have
Right.
it just in case. And so thank you for being one of those as well.
course.
And just for all you guys do, it is so fun to have people
Mm-hmm.
outside and, kind of being the hands and feet of the master we serve, and not just keeping it all inside. So
That's
thank,
right.
thank you guys.
And especially around mile 20.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's really important there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Send
for-
us pics. We
Okay.
want to see pictures from the
Okay, we
from the
sure will.
course. So
Yeah.
please send those to us along
We'll
the
do
way.
that.
We'll post them that morning.
All
Thanks,
right.
Jim.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
A healthy lifestyle is important at any age, whether you're 9 years old or 90. Mercy is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Senior Marathon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Erica Dearman. At Mercy, we're passionate about helping Oklahomans live longer, fuller lives. That's why we're proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Senior Marathon. Physical activity for seniors like this Run to Remember helps reduce the risk of stroke, type 2 diabetes, and even some cancers. So join us in honoring those impacted by the events of April 19th, 1995. Mercy is honored to provide specialized care for seniors, and we look forward to celebrating the strength of our state at the Senior Marathon.
The average age of participants in running events is increasing year after year. Over the last 7 years, Running USA has discovered big jumps in the numbers of runners 55 and older. And our next two guests are senior marathons who are definitely very young at heart, and they also happen to be my mom and dad. David and Ellen Morgan, also known as Sunny and Poppa. We are so glad you're here, our senior marathoners.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're very excited.
Yeah. How's the training going? Sunny keeping you in line?
Well, I'm pretty much. I mean,
Okay.
we both exercise a lot, so it's not.
Yeah.
That's pretty much part
You
of
still
our
going to all
routine
your
every day.
exercise classes and everything every
Oh
day?
yeah.
As long as the
Almost.
girls keep coming.
As long as
Yeah.
the girls keep coming, he's there?
He has got a
Oh,
lot of girls that
I
hold
know.
him
They
accountable.
line up. They
Yeah.
line up to go to
I
class.
had I had Sunny convinced for about 3 years that I was in a men's pickup basketball game when I was down there with all the girls.
I think she probably knew she was just playing along, Papa.
She was just glad to have her,
Out of the
have her out
house.
of her hair. Yeah.
So you both are up for the senior marathon, and you've been walking a little bit.
Yeah.
How's it going?
We're ready.
Are you?
I am ready. I love the senior marathon.
Good.
It's so much fun that day of that we did that. I guess has it been 2 years now?
Yeah.
This will be your third senior marathon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not mine because
Yeah,
I was
you had
in a
new
knee
knee.
scooter.
Had a knee
Right.
scooter,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have a new knee. How's that going?
Well, it wasn't my knee, it was my foot. I
Oh,
have a
that's
new
right.
foot, but it's working really well.
Okay, good.
It's not totally artificial, but there's some extra parts there.
So what are you guys doing to train?
Well, go ahead.
One of the interesting ways I train is I go to a pool every day, and so I've been jogging in the pool and counting my steps
that count?
and doing that.
That would for me.
Yeah, it's harder than.
I've been in exercise class with with Sunny before, and she's intense.
She is. And
I always sit in the back, so I don't.
Yeah.
No one looks
But
at
you
me.
know, Carrie, that's a great, it's
great
a
on your
great
muscles.
training.
Yeah.
Swimming is,
Yeah.
and Sunny's been a swimmer as long as I can remember, and her dad was a swimmer too. And
Uh-huh.
it's just as you age, it's very easy on your joints.
Right.
It's very
It
easy
is.
on your joints. 6 days a week, I'm in a pool.
Oh, my gosh.
But I also know exactly if I walk to Kristen's house and walk home, it is 1.4 miles.
So you're getting your mile in every day.
So you get your mile in if you walk down and take our dog down so she can bark at her dogs and then
Little
walk
homemade
home.
cookies for the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like
that.
that. Something like
So,
that.
Papa, what about you? What are you doing?
I do every day. I exercise every day,
Uh-huh.
probably at least 45 minutes to an hour. But what I do that kind of substitutes for the walking is the elliptical.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a special elliptic at the Oklahoma City Country Club that both glides and also goes up and down. So it's
you're getting a
really
real workout.
I get a real workout. I do about 45 minutes on that.
And does it tell you how far you walk when you do
I don't know.
It does.
It does.
You'd have
Just
to
wouldn't
look.
pay
Yeah,
attention.
you'd have to
That-
look.
yeah, it would
You know,
take-
Carrie, I mean, growing up with Sunny and Poppa, my mom and dad,
Uh-huh.
they've been active my entire life, as long as I remember. And now as I'm, getting
Aging.
older, aging, yes, I see the importance of you're not really exercising for today, you're exercising for your 70s.
Motion is lotion.
Right, right. So as you've gotten older, how important has exercise been to you?
Well, I mean, it's just like Ken and Jim are saying, it's just becomes so much a routine. If you don't do it, you miss it. I mean, it's like your body starts crying out to you. You haven't exercised yet. And as you know, sometimes I'll go to the health club at 8 o'clock at night because I haven't gotten to it yet. And I
If
just
I don't have
can't
10,000 steps, I'll walk around the house.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Now
gosh.
you know where I get it.
Yeah.
You guys.
This is where my crazy
why I
comes
love
from.
you.
And I have to admit, I did walk around the house and keep track of my distance during the ice storm.
Yes, you had to stay in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite part of the marathon? I know you go to Gorilla Hill some.
Well, if you mean like the favorite part of me of being in the marathon is being from Oklahoma City my entire life is passing through the neighborhoods that have memories to me.
Oh, that's great.
And it's just, and being as old as I am, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of neighborhoods, and even back to generations before my generation, my mother and father were along Classen Boulevard where you all kind of come into your home stretch. And when I was a kid, we lived in Crown Heights, very near Gorilla Hill, and Ellen was down at Heritage Hills. So it's just that the memory of kind of knowing this is your life. And, again, and what you all had done, with the bombing was really a bad deal. 5 years later to start this marathon has really rebounded, I think, the city so much. It's just amazing to me.
So, you were here on April 19th, 1995. What's your memory of the bombing?
Well, I mean, I was in the first Oklahoma Tower, which on the 30th floor, so I was pretty high up. And, of course, when it happened, you didn't know what it was. I mean, my first thought was it must have been an airplane from the downtown airport that had crashed into the opposite side of the building where I was. Then I realized I had some attorneys that worked for me who were in the bankruptcy court that morning. So my thoughts, got to them. And I started walking that way, not knowing what I was going to do when I got there, but just realizing that I had, two people who were working for me who were there. And it just kind of
And they were okay.
They were okay. They were fine. I mean, they got,
But you saw the chaos of downtown.
Saw the
and-
chaos,
and,
yeah,
and the helpers and
right,
all that.
yeah. It's just pretty amazing.
Sunny, what about you?
Well, I was at home, northwest Oklahoma City, and I thought an airplane had crashed in our neighborhood. And my mother lives 4 blocks, so that I immediately got on the phone to make sure my mother was okay. Because even 7 miles from downtown, our doors blew open. I mean, so I just was sure there was some catastrophic event in the neighborhood. And, it just took a while to process. But I'm with Papa, too, that it's hard to say what's my favorite part, but I think the purpose is probably my favorite part of the marathon. I think it's just been an outstanding thing. It's really fun because Krishna's run, our grandchildren have run, so we have followed them around. We've gotten in our car and
Family
followed them
affair.
around. It's a family affair, and this will be my second senior marathon. I think Papa went when I was on the knee scooter. I think
did.
it's his,
He did.
Yeah.
It's his
Yeah,
third.
I had witnesses. I was
Yeah,
there.
he was there.
I had just
think-
had surgery. I'm
You were
sure-
you were out of it.
I had
You had a nurse
excused
taking care of
absence.
you.
Well, and coming-
But
yeah,
the purpose is just,
Yeah.
it says it all. It's a run to remember.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's awesome. So what great advice do you have for your fellow senior marathoners?
Well, be there and do it, and don't have an excuse not to do it, and then and take advantage of this being something the city kind of all does together, and you talk to friends about it. Where are you now? Where are you going to be? And then that day of the marathon, just lining up and having the national anthem and the
Seconds of
the
silence.
seconds of silence and so forth is so meaningful and made me, again, probably a lot for me because my whole life has been in Oklahoma City and it's centered around the part of town that you all have your marathon in. It's just hard. It's hard for me to separate that from, and then of course the fact that my beautiful daughter is doing this marathon podcast. I mean,
Pretty important.
It kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, well, you're two of my favorite people, first of all.
mine too.
And you wrote a book, just real quick. Tell us about your new book.
Well, I helped write a book about my great-grandfather, Dick T. Morgan, who also happened to be the first congressman from Oklahoma City
There you
after
go.
statehood. So that's an important part. We've had a couple of book signings last
People
night.
lined up out the door.
this is his second podcast in 2 weeks.
Oh
he
my
was on a
gosh, I'm not gonna be able
podcast
to deal
about
with
the book
Papa.
too.
Yeah.
I know he's just going to go to his head.
Oh my
Yeah.
The author of the book is
It's-
Michael Hightower.
Michael Hightower,
Okay.
who just did
Dave,
it.
Dave was a
contributing.
great
yeah.
resource
Great
of
contributor.
information.
He's stayed busy in his retirement. He's got
Yeah,
the
very, very
marathon.
busy.
He's been doing research for this book. He's done piano lessons. He's all about
he's all
staying
in.
active.
And, don't
isn't he?
forget my music concert.
see-
Hey,
I've
he
been
just-
there.
Yeah, Carrie's
Carrie's
been
been
to
to
the
one.
concert.
Front row.
She's only been to one. I don't know
did.
why
I'll
she hadn't
come
come
She
back.
didn't come back.
No offense, no offense. Please don't take offense.
Well, we are so glad you're part of this. We're so glad to have this senior marathon. I think it's so important for these people who were,
A part of the story.
a part of the story to be able to be involved this way. I just think it's a great full circle moment that
Yeah, Chris
the addition
Fleming
of the senior marathon
On our
yeah.
board came up with this idea, and we
it's just
loved it.
great.
And, it's not the biggest race, but it has got some of the people in it who have the biggest hearts, who know the story, who literally helped rebuild Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So you guys have done a lot for Oklahoma City, and your family's done a lot collectively. Thank you, guys. You really are two of my favorite people. And talking about aging, I hope I age as gracefully and wonderfully and are as active as I.
Me too. I'm glad these are my genes.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous, but thank you guys so much.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you
for having
for
me.
what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
What great people!
What great people. Speaking of great people, Carrie,
Yeah?
you have recently, it's been announced among the USA Today Women of the Year, there's one woman chosen from every state, and our very own Carrie Watkins was chosen from the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I
Yeah.
humbly accept that on behalf of an incredible board and staff who helps do the work. Someone said something to me last night as I was leaving an event, and I said, I am one person of a huge crowd, and get to learn and have learned from some of the very best in Oklahoma City as my board chairs, and get to work with you and 40 other great people who make this work day in, day out. It is far beyond me. So
Well,
I'm humbled by it, but I also want to be real about it is not about me.
Well, it's a big honor, and we're
Thank
proud
you,
of you, and
thank
we're
you.
proud to have you here. All right, so
So just a reminder, no burgers at the finish line,
Yes.
but we're going to announce very soon a fun treat that you're going to
It's
get
exciting.
as you finish, and
I
I,
know,
think you're going
people
to
are
like
gonna be
it.
excited.
It's a fair trade.
you have to
Uh,
keep listening, though,
keep
to
listening. We're gonna drag
find
this
out what
out.
it is. Yeah.
And did we tell you someone's from Rhode Island? Did we mention
We're
that
so
yet?
excited.
Okay.
Carrie did backflips.
Yeah.
Yep, we missed that.
And then, that's what happens when I'm the last one in the house. And then I would just say, just remember as we get down to this marathon happens, as Sunny told us, because of what happened in Oklahoma City 30 years ago. And so as this community is and has been preparing for the 30th anniversary, this race has extra meaning because of what our community has done. And I said this yesterday in a meeting at the Convention Visitors Bureau. Oklahoma City works together better than any city I've seen. We got to sit at a table at the Running USA conference with Boston, Houston, Chicago, a lot of other races. And it was incredible to see the people we were on our team, and the police went with us, just how we were able to work with the city and the neighborhoods and the churches. And people help us. And people go the extra mile for us, for this mission. And it means so much to us. And so I don't ever want to take that for granted or want anyone to take that for granted. It is a very special race. We pour our hearts into it. We try to run the best and create the best race. And we hope runners recognize that, and we think they do, but it is for a bigger mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And, today's episode was just it's a good reminder of
Good
that.
reminder.
It's a good reminder of there's a place for everyone,
Right.
from the 5K to seniors to kids to churches along the way. It takes everybody to get this race to the finish
It really
line.
does.
Yeah.
It
And
really does. So thank you so much.
very good. Well, that's a wrap for this week's program. Join us every Friday for a new episode. Let us know your questions and tell us your running story at okcmarathon.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. The Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 25th through the 27th. If you haven't already, sign up today at okcmarathon.com. This is your host, Kristen Fairs. Let's marathon.